And the first is that he wears a crown, and crown in Latin is the word corona. And so we had a crown virus that put us into a global pandemic and started this whole thing off. And you go, wow, that's kind of similar, in name at least to what we're looking for. And then he has a bow, and the word in Greek is called toxon, and it is basically an airborne threat, right? It is a weapon that sends something through the air that flies a long distance. And so that's also, what we saw with an airborne virus. And it is the derivative of the word toxin. So you also like have the idea of poisonous or something. The spike proteins are also, considered poisonous and are toxic for our bodies. And a bow can, just like in English, actually the word toxin is very similar to, but those are things that you see it directly associated with the imagery of the white horse and the rider has a crown and he carries a bow. And white is also the color of the medical community, which this was really like kind of through the medical community. And then conquering and to conquer, he's a rider on a horse that you go, oh, that must be war. But the next horse brings war and takes peace from the earth. So we go, oh, this has to be nonviolent. Then it has to be politics. It has to be intrigue. It has to be, things like that. And we had lockdowns, and we had all these, people's rights were suddenly secondary to health and safety. And so it fits this kind of conquering and this growth of globalism that we've seen that really began advancing in 2020. And then there's some really bizarre connections with Greek mythology. And, I believe that the demons are really behind the old gods, right? That there's no real gods, but there are spiritual forces that have been in the world and working against God's plan and mankind since the beginning, right? Since Eve was deceived in the garden by Satan. So Apollo is actually the god of archery and medicine, and he shot poison arrows. So you go, oh, that's kind of similar. And Apollyon is king over the abyss. So we see this, these kind of spirits that are going to come back in the end that are really being unleashed and given their hour along with Satan against mankind. They're his, his minions in that sense. Apollo is married to Coronis. They have a son, Asclepius, who's the god of medicine. And Asclepius was educated by Chiron, a centaur, who's kind of like a white horseman hybrid. And so all of this imagery is there. And the Hippocratic Oath, like the history of the medical community is that they have this Hippocratic Oath. But originally that Hippocratic Oath was sworn to Apollo. And you just go like, wow, all right. I can kind of see how maybe this is pulling together that it's through this, sort of peace and safety, health and safety movement that we saw this first seal break out.
Inside Donald Trump's Fifth Avenue penthouse, amidst the lavish marble and gold, you'll find more than just opulence. It's a shrine to Apollo,